Right, now before we start drawing the head, I want you to understand some of the tools that we will be using, and we will sort of mimic building the head, but not quite yet. Let's just jump in here and we'll use that first tool, which is Create Lathe. And imagine a horizontal line going from left to right in this left view here. And somewhat symmetrically to that, you want to draw a line going up like that and then back. Okay, and when you let go, that will create a cylindrical object that you can zoom out a little bit and you can see in the perspective view from different angles. Right, now if you are so inclined, you can certainly draw another line on the bottom side to perhaps give it a slightly different look, like maybe a little wavy line down there. Okay, so that starts building more detail on that curve, on that lathe. Let me go and undo that. We will actually not use this technique. We'll use a slightly different technique when it comes to actually building our head. But this is just something to show you what else you can do with that curve. Let's say we wanted to extend the curve or reshape it a little bit just locally. One thing you want to do first of all is right click to select it, and it should turn yellow. So at this point, when it's a yellow curve, look for the curve editing tools. There's a draw detail curve. We'll look at that in a short moment. But there's also a couple of other things. For instance, there's a trim curve. You can delete some of the points here. You can click around here and then it will make that curve shorter and shorter. And every time you cut away some of it, that redefines the shape. It takes a different, it becomes just a different type. The center of symmetry, the rotation axis here, basically goes from the starting point to the end point of that curve. And so as you cut away, it of course rearranges that entire orientation as well. Let me go and undo that. Let me go and delete and just start over with a new curve. And this time I'm going to go a little bit more to the inside, go up, and like this. All right, and again, one thing I want to do is just reshape this. So you can call this reshaping or redefining it, redrawing, or perhaps simply adding detail. That is a tool we'll use in a slightly different context too, but I wanted to show you that here because that is one of the really powerful tools. Let's say I want to do a little zigzag line instead of this straight line here. Right, so I'm going to right click to select it and then just draw a zigzag line around there, and it finds the closest points to attach it to and really finds the curve there. I can even do that somewhere around here. I can do a little bulge like that and basically build the curve to go further in. Perhaps here I want to go a big cavity to the top, so I'm going to go like this, and you see how it redefines that entire curve. It's that easy. It's really made for 2D artists who like to draw shapes and dabble and sketch and do that type of thing. Let's say I want to also define here, cut off the bottom, delete some of those elements down here. And so you see that you can create some really interesting shapes with that. And of course we can also edit that with the widget move. The widget move controls down here allow you to say how far it reaches. Let's say if you have a narrow band but all of the points are being selected the same way, one thing you can do at that point is contain the control to just a subset of the data, and you see the curves. Perhaps if you make it very small, very narrow, then even more so you can have little spikies coming out. You can do that to the outside, you can do that to the inside, and do all sorts of really wacky stuff with that. So that's the first intro in just the generic use of the lathe and editing the curves on that lathe, and we will now use that to start building the head of the sea monster.